absolutely delighted to welcome our first speaker to this 3-day event. I was introduced to this gentleman 6 years ago, and since then he's been a constant source of inspiration. Been in the industry for 31 years, half on Wall Street, half in Main Street. He's done over 400 deals, totaling 48 billion in annual revenue. He's taught over 13,000 students over the last few years, 600 of which are in his inner circle. And at the moment, he's doing $2 billion roll-ups. I'm delighted to introduce Carl Allen.
Hey, Ross, thanks for having me at this amazing event. I can't believe it's 6 years since I met you, dude. That's incredible. Where's the time gone?
2017, and we haven't yet managed to do a deal together, but I reckon this year is going to be the year.
Yeah, so when I told you I was doing $2 billion roll-ups, you said, no, 3. I'm going to talk to you about a really cool opportunity. So, yeah, I'm always up for doing a deal, as you know. I think one of the cool things about me is not only do I coach thousands of people how to buy businesses creatively, I'm also doing this stuff literally every single day. I actually spend more time doing deals than I do actually coaching, which is amazing, but it allows me to stay at the cutting edge of all the different things that are happening. And if I go back just 12 months, like the market has completely changed in that 12-month period in terms of creative financing and deal flow and all those amazing things. So being in the market doing deals, it keeps you at that really cutting edge of what's happening so that you can leverage that and coach people that want to go and follow in those footsteps.
Yeah, you're doing 8 deals. I think you've got 8 closing at the moment.
That's right. Yeah, it's pretty crazy right now. But I have an amazing team, which is what if you want to do deal making at scale, that's one of the things that you need, right? You need to have partners not only in the deals, but you need to have people that can help you execute and transact. Because closing 8 deals at once is no joke, right? So sometimes it takes a village to get deals done. And as a deal maker, your job's to be like the quarterback of the deal and pull the strings and make sure you're pushing people in the right direction. So yeah, it's all good fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We're averaging sort of 2 or 3 deals a year, so I can't imagine what 8 at once is like. Definitely need that deal team, and you've got a strategy that you're going to focus on today for us, haven't you? Something that you've been working on. It's pretty unique to you over the last 12 months or so.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's fine to talk about $1 billion roll-ups. It's fine to talk about doing like really cool things. And I think once you get into your stride as a deal maker and you've got some deals under your belt, you can really start to kind of push the envelope and do really incredible things. However, I think I'm guessing a lot of the people that are attending this event are maybe beginners. They're very new to deal making, maybe haven't done a deal before, and maybe are a little bit daunted by the concept of, yeah, let's go and do $1 billion roll-up. So what I'm going to teach the guys today is something very, very simple. And it's something that it's a spin on a traditional seller financing deal. So as you know, when you go and buy a business, there's lots of different ways that you can finance deals. You can go raise capital, or one of the other things you can do is if you find the right seller, and we'll get into that as part of the training, you can actually structure a deal where you're just paying them over time from the cash flow that the business generates, right? Now, that's really, really hard to pull off unless you position that deal and you frame the seller in a very particular way. And we've coined that the annuity deal. And it's interesting. I launched that as a process, probably 12, 15 months ago. There's been hundreds and hundreds of those deals closed inside of my community. Now everyone's doing it, right? It's like every time I come up with a new concept or a new big idea, within a few months, it trickles down to the rest of the industry and everybody's kind of doing those things. And that's something that makes me kind of really proud. I think myself, Jeremy Harbour, Mike Warren, we were probably the very first 3 coaches to come into this industry, probably around 5, 6, 7 years ago. Now, obviously, there's a lot of coaches that are doing this stuff, which I think is fantastic. It's really expanding our market of coaching and services and all those different things. But it's interesting that, particularly when myself and Jeremy start talking about really cool new ideas and new things that we're doing on our own deals, it's not very long before everybody else is kind of teaching that stuff, which I think is amazing, right? Because often it takes a village to kind of lead and coach and really drive an industry forward. And I think, that's what myself and my very esteemed colleagues that are going to be coaching and teaching throughout these few days, that's really our kind of mission.
Amazing. Well, yeah, really looking forward to this presentation then. So let's get into it. The annuity deal.
Let's get into it. Right. Let me turn the slides on. Okay. I'll be back to you for Q&A at the end. So I'm going to go through this as quickly as I can. So we've got some time for Q&A. So this training is all about how to buy a cash flowing business in 30 days max with zero cash. So sometimes people say with no cash out of pocket. There's no cash going into these deals at all, either from you or from any external financier. So Ross covered who I am before. So I had a Wall Street background, then been on Main Street for the past 15 years, did a lot of corporate M&A and private equity deals as well. I have a couple of private equity funds as well now that I own, but my main coaching company is called Dealmaker Wealth Society. I coach tons and tons of people and some really, really big wins inside of that community. So today we're going to talk about annuity deals, which is just a complete reframing of a seller financing transaction. And this all stemmed from a conversation I had about a year ago with a professional services company. So I'm on a call with the owner of that business, and the owner of that business has got a crazy valuation, like a 6.5 times multiple of EBITDA for their business. Multiples of EBITDA typically are how we value businesses. Sometimes it's called SDE. But multiples of profit are what drive valuation. And normally a business is worth between 2 and 4 times, generally 2.5 to 3 times for most industries. So when somebody asks for a 6 times multiple and it's a fairly small deal, you got to ask the question, like, who valued the business for you? And the seller said, well, the valuation came from my wealth manager. Really? That's quite interesting. Wealth managers are not trained to value companies. They're trained to invest money. CPAs value businesses, right? I almost said business brokers value businesses. Most of the times they don't, right? But I said, well, that's really interesting. Tell me why and how your wealth manager valued your business. She said, well, I need a certain amount of money for the next 10 years to live my life and not have to downgrade my lifestyle. So I said to my wealth manager, I need X thousands of dollars per month to do what I want to do in my life. Back engineer and reverse calculate for me what I need to sell my business for as a closing payment, so then I can pay a whole bunch of tax. Then I can invest that money inside of the market, pay more tax, pay more fees, and then what would be the annuity? What would be the annuity payment that I'm going to get on a monthly basis? And I said, well, that's fine. Why don't I just become the annuity provider? Why don't I just pay you that monthly payment out of the cash flows from the business? And the seller said to me, you can do that? I said, absolutely. So I kind of did that deal. And then what I realized was it's not really in the mechanics of how the deal works, because it's a 10-year seller financing note, right? Everyone knows how to do that. But it's in how that deal is positioned. It's all in the positioning, and it's all in the framing of that deal in the mind of the seller and giving them the benefits that they're looking for in the deal. So that's what we're going to go through in this training. So we'll talk about what is an annuity deal and how really it's like buying a business like you would lease a car. I'll walk you through the annuity deal structure, why annuity deals work so well in the market today, and it's driven primarily by baby boomers and you going and finding off-market deal flow. I'll talk you through the seller drivers, the benefits, why sellers are choosing these deal structures over smaller valuations but with cash down. We'll talk about a really cool ninja move with seller psychology, which is called the 2-offer structure, and how you can leverage that to drive a seller into an annuity deal structure. And then we'll get into why it's all about making offers. Deal making is a numbers game. You guys probably know that already. And then I'm going to give you guys a 30-day challenge. Every single one of you can do this in the next 30 days. You could do it in a lot sooner, but we'll give you 30 days to do it so you can get some high quality deal flow. And that's what we're going to finish this off with, okay? So an annuity deal refers to, it's basically an insurance contract. So you go and put some money into a money market account, and then they pay you a fixed sum of money over a period of time. And we've applied basically that same concept and applied it to business acquisitions. And it's just like you leasing a car. So everybody that's watching this probably owns a car, right? Now, some of you probably went to the dealership. If you own a Tesla like me, you might have gone to Tesla and just paid for it, right? Or you can lease that car over a certain period of time, so you don't have to put a big chunk of capital down to buy it, right? We're buying businesses using the exact same methodology. And if you break an annuity deal down, it effectively has like three components. So you're inheriting all the existing liabilities that the business currently has, so payables, tax notes due, bank loans, all those different things. If it's a US deal, might have PPP loans or EIDL loans from the SBA hanging over from COVID. And then in some cases, you might need to make a very tiny closing payment, and that's only for the seller to cover closing costs. So if there's a broker deal, this works a lot better when you go off market. But if you did pitch this to a deal where there's a broker, the broker's going to go for it, providing he or she gets paid, right? So you might need some surplus cash in the business, or maybe a little bit of working capital on the balance sheet that you can leverage in some quick financing. But the vast majority of the money that the seller's going to get through this deal structure is through seller financing, and you can be even more creative and include earnouts in terms of the deal structure as well, which are bonus payments that you make to the seller based on some financial performance in the future. And one of the reasons why annuity deals work so well is the basic statistic that across the 4 major countries where I'm coaching students and doing deals myself, USA, UK, Canada, and Australia, about only 1 in 11 businesses that actually try to sell, actually do. And there are a lot of reasons for that, which you guys know, and I won't bore you with those today. But we're talking about nearly 2.7 million businesses out there that are not going to sell within the next 12 months. So if you've got a distressed seller of a good business that is highly motivated to exit within the current financial year, an annuity deal might be their only option in getting out of the business versus closing down the business and turning off the lights. So there's millions of businesses out there that we can go after. So there's some really cool benefits about annuity deals. One of them is that they're very, very quick. So if you want to go down the bank financing route, so if you want to go to the SBA or the British Business Bank, which is the UK equivalent, Australia, Canada got their own programs, of course. But if you want to go and finance a deal where you're putting a big closing payment down, and you're not using your own money, whether it's debt, whether it's an investor, family office, it doesn't matter. It's going to take you at least 4 months to pitch that deal, go through that process, and go through all the due diligence and legals of raising that capital, right? It can be a problem. It can take a lot of time. And a lot of sellers don't want that. They want to be out of this deal a lot faster than that. So being able to offer a super quick deal in a matter of weeks that's got very, very light touch due diligence. So just make sure it's legally safe to buy. Just make sure they've done their tax returns. A lot of the detailed financial and commercial due diligence you can actually do once you buy the business, right? And if you go in and you do that work and you find it's not the business that you thought it was, you just give it back. You just lost a little bit of time in the deal. And this is also solving the major retirement problem in the United States. We're going to get into some of those issues in a minute. And what's also cool about an annuity deal is I'll show you how you can actually pay a lot more for the business on an annuity deal structure. And then valuation multiples really don't matter, right? They don't matter at all. You can pay whatever multiple the seller wants for the business. It's just going to dictate how many years they're actually going to pay. And also, annuity deals are also very, very tax efficient for sellers. So if you're in the UK with the HMRC tax codes, as long as the deal is a contract for sale by more than 2 installments, then the seller's not going to have to pay the tax until they actually get the money. And then in the United States, they recently changed the tax codes inside of the IRS. So as long as payments on a deal extend into the tax year following the year of sale, which obviously all annuity deals will do, then again in the US, business owners will only pay tax when they've received that money. Now, one of the biggest drivers of this is the US baby boomer market. There are 10,000 baby boomers retiring every single day in the United States, and about 30% of them own a small business. So there's thousands and thousands of businesses every single day coming to market. And we know that only 1 in 11 of those businesses will sell, especially if it's sub $5 million in revenue, which is really where your buy box should be focused. But what's also really interesting is, according to the Exit Planning Institute, the average retirement saving of a business owner in the United States is only $202,000 in their 401k, their Roth, their IRA, wherever they're saving. Their business, their small business, is the vast majority of their retirement plan. So they can't give their business away or shut it down because they don't have money to last for retirement. So they're banking on the sale of their business to boost that retirement pot. So they actually want you to pay them monthly through the cash flows of the business and pay them more because that's going to top up the retirement savings that they've actually got. So, and it's almost like the business owner is like, hey, it's like I'm getting paid from my business, but I don't have to go and do anything, right? So I can go and retire and sit on the golf course or do whatever I want to do on a beach. I'm still going to get all this cash flow from my business. And what's also really cool is the sellers, they often feel connected to the business after the sale because they're still part of it through this annuity deal structure. Now, what's really interesting is we did a survey many, many years ago, and we looked at what are the drivers of people selling businesses. And what really shocked me when I did this was that only 20% of people that sold their business sold really for kind of financial reasons. 80% of people were selling for non-financial reasons. They wanted their legacy maintained in the business. They wanted some freedom. They wanted security over their employees. They didn't want a trade buyer coming in and ripping the business apart and letting their employees go and not have any money and changing the brand and changing the culture and really kind of destroying the legacy of the business that the owner had actually built. Like most small business owners that come to sell, they've probably spent more time in their business than they have with their own family. They've made a lot of sacrifices to get their business to where it is today, and they want a lot of that to be protected and maintained. And remember, and this is something that really shook me when I transitioned from being a Wall Street deal maker to a Main Street deal maker. When I was doing billion-dollar deals on Wall Street, and I've done lots and lots of those deals are 90% numbers, and they're only 10% psychology. Those deals are all about financial engineering. It's all about math, right? When you transition and you're doing Main Street deals, so if you're buying a business between $1 and $5 million or pounds or euros in revenues, depending on where you are, it kind of flips, right? Those deals are more about seller psychology than they are about the numbers. So really, really important that you have to understand seller psychology and seller motivation when it comes to negotiation on a deal. And it's really interesting, right? You can look at two completely identical businesses. So let's say we've got two businesses, they're identical. They're in the same town, they do the same thing, same product, same service, same revenues, profits, balance sheet, assets, customers, products, services, employees. Everything's the same, right? They could be in the same building. The only difference is the owner. And more importantly, what's going on with the owner's seller psychology. So you could have two completely different owners. Guy on the left, entrepreneur, not really motivated to sell. He's in his 30s, having a lot of fun. Every business is for sale. Every business is for sale, right? Just a question of the price and terms. If you had $3 trillion today, you can go buy Apple, right? Every business is available. Now, this seller, he might want a 5 times multiple for the business at closing. And he might want 80% or more of that cash up front, right? Luckily, there's a deal structure for someone like that. It's called the SBA 7A loan program. What we really want to do for an annuity deal is target the guy on the right. Now, remember, it's the same business, same profits, everything's the same, but he's a retiring baby boomer. He's frustrated, he's burnt out, he's distressed, he's not having any fun. His wife's berating him constantly. Hey, when are you going to sell? When are you going to retire? When are you going to come home? When are you going to spend time with me? It's my time now. That seller is going to sell for not only a much lower multiple, but they're going to take a lot of that deal, if not all of it, on a deferred cash flowing basis. And I've got loads and loads and loads of students that are doing these deals. I got one guy, he closed 2 of these just in a week, a few weeks ago, back in June, and he's doing consulting for equity deals as well, Jim Helms, which we're not going to cover today. And these aren't just small deals; these are multi-7-figure deals as well that people inside my mentorship are closing. And even my business partner Chris and I, we bought a bowling alley using this exact strategy. Right? When we were kind of working through this. I said to Chris, let's go out and let's go test this on a deal. So literally we walked into a bowling alley in America, never been in before. And we were talking to the business owner at the cash desk, and we tried this strategy out, and literally we went under LOI on the deal like within 2 hours, and we bought it. So we bought a bowling alley, and it cash flows like crazy. I've only been in it once, right? because I own all these companies and I don't work in any of them. But, we're doing this ourselves, and a lot of our students are doing it as well. So remember, super quick to close these deals. 2 weeks versus 16 if you're financing with a bank. You're going to give the seller security over the business. So just like you would lease a car from Tesla, if you don't make your payments, Elon's coming back for his car, right? It's exactly the same structure in one of these deals. You're giving the seller a lien or a debenture over the business plus a performance guarantee, which is a bit like a covenant when you borrow money from a bank. And what's really cool about this is it directly solves the problem of inflated valuation, right? I don't care what the multiple is on an annuity deal. I'll pay them 10 times EBITDA for that business if I can pay them over 20 years. As long as I can have half the cash flow and then give half the cash flow to the seller, because I know I can grow that business no matter what it is because of the team and the infrastructure that I've got, right? So I can always create more value for me. So it doesn't matter to me what the terms are in terms of the valuation. But what's really interesting about deals is whenever you're negotiating a deal, there's only two things that are at play. There's price and terms. Now, buyer can control one, seller can control the other. As a buyer or a seller, you can't control both the price or the terms. If you want a certain price for your business, whatever that multiple is, that's fine, Mr. Seller. But as the buyer, I'm going to control the terms. I'm going to dictate over how many years I'm going to pay that. And that might be an annuity plus an earn-out and a whole bunch of other different things like that. So price and terms are really important. Remember, you can only control one or the other. You can't control both. And then these deals are so light on due diligence and they're far less stressful to sellers. Like a lot of the times, if you're doing direct approaches, if you're doing off-market deals, which is really the best way to get deal flow, because then there's no brokers in the way that are going to screw everything up for you, right? So doing off-market deal flow, a lot of the times sellers, they haven't got all of the stuff to hand that you need to look at to take to a bank to get the financing, right? So it can be quite stressful to them and it can take a lot of time and they don't want to do that. So being able to take the business over without doing a lot of that and then you figuring that out afterwards can be a really key benefit. Again, we talked about it being a lot more tax efficient. And then if you buy that business on an annuity and you scale it, then you can sell it really, really quickly. You can cash out the annuity from the exit payment that you get. So let's go find a deal and I'll show you an example. So I will show you a broker deal, although this works a lot better with off-market deals. So most of you guys will know Biz Buy Sell. It's probably one of the biggest aggregator broker sites that are out there. So if you go to Biz Buy Sell, click California, click Building and Construction, you'll get a whole bunch of different deal flow. If you've never looked at Biz Buy Sell before, there's two numbers in a listing. The top one is the asking price. The one underneath is the cash flow or the EBITDA. Typically, you divide top by bottom and that gives you the multiple, right? Anything less than 3, you are good to go. So let's look at the one in the middle, the cabinet manufacturer, big business. It's always a big clue, guys, when you're looking at a broker listing and they say seller financing available. That's always a big clue. It's like the seller's telling you that they're going to help you creatively get this deal done, which is amazing. So this is a really nice business. It's pretty big. It's doing 5 mil, cash flow in about 700, EBITDA, asking price 1.5 million. And it's been around for a while. It's been around for, 41 years this business has been around. Do you know how many businesses survive 41 years? It's like less than 1%. It's crazy. 96% of businesses fail within 10 years. So for this to be cranking $5 million in revenue and cash flowing like crazy after 41 years tells you it's a really, really cool business, right? So let's see how this would work. And it's growing as well. It's grown to 5.4 million this year. Now, what's really interesting is in designing all this, we ran a lot of analysis over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of deals. So hundreds of deals that all of my students have done, hundreds of deals that I've done. I looked at all of those deals and I looked at how valuation and deal structure would change based on seller psychology and based on the percentage of seller financing that was going into a deal. So if the maximum that you're ever going to pay on a business is when there's 100% seller financing, right? Then if you're buying a business with say 90% of the cash at close and only a 10% seller note, then on average you're paying around 57% of that maximum valuation. So we can use that analogy, that analysis from the algorithm that I built, from the AI model that I built, to look at how these deals are actually going to work. So let's take the deal that I just showed you online. This is a real deal, by the way. It's kind of on the market right now. So it's doing 5.4, no real estate in this deal. So 1.5 million is the asking price, $700,000 EBITDA, so it's a 2.1 times multiple. So if we put that deal right in the center of our valuation range, let's say, because we know the seller wants to sell a financing deal anyway, he might want a 50-50 deal. So half the money down, half the money in seller notes. So then we know that if we were to do an SBA deal, which is, you're well within your rights to go and do an SBA deal on this, I think they would love this business, then statistically, I know that you could probably get that deal done for about 1.1 million. Or if you wanted to do an annuity deal over 10 years and pay nothing at close, I think that business is going to cost you somewhere around the 1.8 million range. And that's just based on the hundreds of deals that I run through my deal AI model, not just my deals, a lot of my student deals as well, that's come up with this algorithm. And what's really interesting about annuity deals, now I'm going to give you a Jedi ninja move, right? So if you guys have ever seen the first Star Wars movie when Obi-Wan Kenobi's playing the mind tricks on the stormtrooper, you don't need to see the identification. These aren't the droids you're looking for. We're doing a similar thing with business owners. And what's really interesting is the human brain, it's 2 million years old. It's evolved over all that time. And the human brain is designed to make yes-no decisions, 1-0 decisions. So if you give a seller one option, like, hey, here's my offer, they're going to do two things. They're either going to say yes to the offer or they're going to say no to the offer. But if you give them two offers side by side in the same letter, one is a low ball offer, which might be big cash at close. One is a much higher valuation, much higher offer, but you're going to cash flow the payments over a period of time. The human brain will fritz. They have to pick one or the other. It's the way that the human brain works. So they're going to go to one or the other. I'm going to show you how to position the annuity offer to be a lot more powerful so their brain will flip to that structure. So let's look at how the offers would work in a two-offer structure. So let's say offer one is you're going to go down the SBA route or another country's equivalent, or just get a big chunky piece of cash flow lending to put down at close. So let's say you're in the US, you're doing an SBA 7A loan, or you can actually do SBA loans if you're not in the US. It's a bit more complicated. We can cover that on a different session. But going back to the valuation algorithm that I showed you, that deal's worth about 1.1 on an SBA loan structure. So you would put 10% equity down either through you or from a partner, which would be 110,000. That's currently how the SBA works, although they are changing the rules very, very soon, where you can actually do deals with the SBA without any cash down whatsoever. They can use other things. But the SBA is going to kick in 80% of that deal, so $880,000 at an 80% loan to value. Then you're going to have a 10% seller note. That's going to cost you about $134,000 a year at around 9%, which is what the rates are right now. That's going to give you a debt service cover ratio of about 5.2, which is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. That's phenomenal. So this deal will cash flow like crazy. If you were to put the $110,000 in, or you use the ninja move of doing it without any personal cash, then you would cash flow $566,000 a year from just that one deal. Or if you partnered with somebody, so if you came to me and said, hey Carl, I need 110K for the 10% down payment, but I'll give you 25% of the business, I'm going to get a bit of that cash flow that's net of debt service, but you're still going to make about $425,000 a year. As I said, the only downside to that is it's going to take you about 16 weeks to go and secure that funding and jump through all the SBA hoops. So offer two in that structure would be, hey, let's take all the stress and pain and time and aggravation out of doing that, and let me pay you more money, save you a lot less tax, but I'm going to pay you over 10 years. So a 10-year annuity deal would be $1.8 million. It'd be $180,000 a year paid monthly. Cover ratio is still 3.9. So you're still going to cash flow $520,000 a year from that deal. And if the seller was to counter and say, well, hey, yeah, I'm up for an annuity deal, but can I do it over 5? Can I get my money out a bit quicker? You could do it over 5 years. So you'd offer a little bit less. Remember, the less time it's taking the seller to get the money, the lower you're going to pay. So that might be $1.6 million on the valuation. So that'd be $320,000 a year paid monthly on the annuity. So you're still getting a 2.2 cover ratio, which is above the minimum we look at, which is 1.5. So you'll still cash flow $380 in that deal because it's the 700 current profitability, less 320. And if you grow the business, of course, I'll share how to do that in a minute, then you'll make more. And you can do those deals really, really quickly. So 4 deal structures there: SBA 7A with you putting the cash in, SBA 7A with a partner, they're putting the cash in, 10-year annuity, 5-year annuity, you're going to cash flow between $380,000 and $566,000 per year after debt service before you grow that business. So you can make a lot of money, guys, doing this. So let's say on this deal it was $1.6 million on a 5-year deal, no inherent liabilities that you're going to come across in this deal. But let's say the seller wanted $100K at close just to pay the broker or do something with, then that would be $1.5 million annuity stream. So this is a deal you can do, no money from you, no money from any external financier. If the deal's got surplus cash in it, which most of them have, you can get these deals done. And if you grow that business, let's say 2023, that's where you're at, those are the numbers, and you just carried on at 9% compounded annual growth rate, you've now got a business in 3 years that's doing $7 million. Your margins will improve naturally as you scale. So you're now cash flowing $1,050,000 a year. You can probably sell that business for at least a 4x multiple. So it's worth $4.2 million. Let's say in 3 years, you still owe $500,000 on the annuity. So your exit value net of that debt is still $3.7 million. So that would be your net exit payment if you bought and scaled that business over 3 years. But then what's really cool is, as the owner of that business, net of the debt service, you're getting all that cash flow, right? So you might be making $875,000 a year, less your annuity. That's going to get you over $500,000 a year in personal cash flow. Do that over 3 years. That's going to add another $1.7 million and change to your monetization of this deal. So it takes you over the $5 million total payout for this transaction. This is just one deal, right? And if you do a deal like this, you can do as many of these deals as you want to, because now you have the cash flow to start hiring a team and really putting the afterburners on with this strategy. And again, when you come to sell a deal and it's already got an annuity baked into the balance sheet, there's loads of different options, right? The buyer might want to buy the business and just take those payments on because it's cheap debt. They're going to adjust the valuation, of course, for that. Or the buyer might want the business free and clear, might want it debt-free, cash-free. So what you might have to do is just take part of your exit payment and go and buy an annuity in the market, like a Fidelity money market account. Or what you can do is you can turn around to the seller and say, hey, I'm cashing out of this deal. You've got a lien over the business, so I need to deal with that at exit, at closing. Why don't I just give me a discount and I'll pay you that money now. So if, let's say you got a $100,000 discount to negotiate that settlement early, that would nudge your exit price up from 3.7 to 3.8. And what's also really cool about this model as well is you can wholesale deals. So you can go out, get these deals under contract, and then if you've got no intention of taking these businesses on, you can sell the deals on to other people, and rather than get a fee, which is normally how wholesaling works, you can get a piece of the cash flow. So let's say you were doing that deal on a 10-year annuity, and you could go to a buyer, you could come to somebody like me and say, hey Carl, what if I gave you this deal, no money whatsoever, but I want 10 or 20% of the cash flow that the business generates? What am I going to say? No? It's like, no, you're giving me free money. Like, I'm going to cut you in and give you a little piece of that. So there's loads of different ways that you can spin this. And then another option would be, let's say you do this deal, you pitch it, and the seller says, well, hey, I love the benefits of an annuity deal in terms of time and less stress and all those different things, but you know what, I'd still like a lump sum payment. Can we do that, say, in 6 months? Absolutely, you can. So you do an annuity deal, you start making those annuity payments, and then you can refi that deal within that 6-month period by going down the SBA or going to another business. And it's actually a lot easier to raise capital for deals when you actually own them, right? So that could be a way where you can do a super quick deal, ticks all those benefit boxes, but then if the seller does want the true up, the deal refinancing in 6 months or 4 months or whatever, you can actually do that. And that, in that example, would take your personal cash flow from that deal up from 380 to 566. So it's a win for the seller because they're getting that lump sum payment in 6 months. And it's a win for you as well because you're going to have more cash flow flowing into your jeans rather than the jeans of the previous owner. So here's how to implement this, guys, within the next 30 days. So first thing you've got to do, dial in your mindset, dial in your why. Know that this is absolutely possible. I have hundreds and hundreds of people doing this every single day. So dial that in and then figure out your why. Don't just think about buying a business. Like, nobody wants to buy a business, right? At the end of the day, it's like we want the benefits of buying a business. We want cash flow, freedom, wealth creation, pride, ego, work-life balance, all those different things. So figure out what your why is, and then that's going to give you the fuel and the grit to push through when things get tricky. Define your buy box. So stay in your lane, do deals in areas that you know, you understand, you're passionate about, and you can add value. Don't just do a deal because it's there. Pick something that you're going to love to own. Really, really important. And then stay away from brokers. That would be my recommendation. You can do broker deals if you want, but where this will absolutely crush it for you is if you go and originate 25 deals off market. So do some direct approaches, build a relationship network, leverage social media, all the things that you know how to do, especially if you're in my programs, you know how to do all that stuff. Go get a bunch of those deals and then just make an annuity offer on every single one using that 2-offer strategy, right? And then negotiate that deal. Again, you've got to push, you've got to sell the benefits of an annuity offer. Don't just rock up and say, hey, here's a 10-year seller financing deal. Sell the benefits of an annuity offer. It's absolutely critical to make this work. Ask them what they care about. Speed, less stress, more money, less tax. Absolutely amazing. Having their money tied up in their own business rather than in the stock market, which they can't control, is another really big benefit. So get the LOI signed and then do some very, very basic legal due diligence. Just call your attorney or your lawyer, say, hey, can you just check this out? Make sure I'm not buying something that's going to come back and bite me. They can do that in under a day. And then just check they've done their tax returns. And then close the deal. And then go and do all the detailed financial DD post-closing. And then if you get in the deal, get the CPA involved, get the financial controller involved. You know how easier it is to do due diligence when you own a business? It's like so easy, right? You're not pulling teeth and trying to find stuff. Like you can go in, you can do it all yourself after you buy the business. And then if it's not the business you thought it was, just give it back, right? The terms of the annuity deal, if you don't make the payments, sales going to take it back, just give it back. It's never happened to me yet. I've done 13 of these. It's not happened to me yet. And then once you've done one deal, why stop? Go do bolt-ons, go do roll-ups, go buy, you go and originate 25 deals. 5 of them might say, yeah, I want to do this deal with you, right? Go buy all 5. Buy the best one first and then bolt the other ones into it. And then with bolt-ons and roll-ups, there's loads of really cool things you can do to drive shareholder value. You can cross-sell products and services between customers. You can generate tons and tons of synergies from the financials into the deal. You can upskill all those different businesses on what do each of those businesses do better than anyone else, and make sure that they're all playing at that kind of level. So you can do that. So guys, hope that was useful. I went through that pretty quickly. If you want to hit me up, I'm at Carl Allen Official, both on Instagram and on YouTube. There's tons and tons of content as well that I share on there. So absolutely nothing to buy from me. I'm massively oversubscribed in my mentorship program. If you absolutely do want to come into it, hit me up on one of those channels. But guys, hope you enjoyed the training. And I think Ross, let's do some Q&A.